team for tonight. Sorry, just got the recording in progress message. Our first helper this evening is our grammarian. And our grammarian for this evening is Mr. John Frey. So again, I'm going to turn the meeting over to John. If you could tell us what the word of the day is and explain your role.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The word of the day is euphoria, extreme happiness, excited state of well-being. And in a sentence, we were rolling in euphoria when an old friend from my Amherst, Massachusetts childhood telephoned with an invitation to visit her family in New Hampshire. So euphoria, extreme happiness, state of well-being. In my role as a grammarian tonight, I'll also be tracking any kind of grammatical errors, crutch words, or something like that. So I can't really put the word of the day on the screen, or I would, but at this time I'll turn it back over to you, Cheryl. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John. And for just a side note is for those of us that are online, Bernie, you're doing a great job with putting people's names, and then he actually put up the word of the day in that at the bottom. Like right now, if you look at the screen or if you look at the board, you can see the word of the day. So great job with that, Bernie. Our timer for this evening, again, thank you very much. Lee is going to be our timer. So again, Lee, if you could come up and tell us about your role this evening.
General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, I am the chronological officer tonight. I am tracking time. That means if you are a speaker with a speech of 5 to 7 minutes, you will see a green light at 5 minutes, a yellow light at 6 minutes, and a red light at 7 minutes. The lights are right here. If you're online, we'll have to figure out how to do that. I bet Bernie can assist me with that. There, see that? Look at there. If you are called on to be a speaker for table topics, you will have 1 to 2 minutes you want to speak till at least the green light comes on at 1 minute. The yellow light will be at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the red light at 2 minutes. You want to stop within 30 seconds after that red light comes on, or you will be disqualified from being voted on as best table topics. Evaluators tonight have 2 to 3 minutes, green at 2, yellow at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and red at 3 minutes. I will time throughout the meeting for those events, give reports when called upon to do so by the leader of the meeting of that portion. Now it's my opportunity to return control of this meeting to our General Evaluator, the lovely CHERYL LEDFORD.
Thank you very much, Lee. And tonight, filling in the role of the vote counter is Mr. John Abercrombie. And if someone could just tell me, so if we are virtual, we will send our votes to John, and then who should they, if they're there at the meeting, who should they give them to? Lee?
Yes.
Send them to you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, do you need another role this evening? No. Okay. Again, John Abercrombie, if you could just please tell us what your role is this evening.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I am euphoric over the opportunity to have IBM's Watson with me as we do the counting. We'll be doing the counting for the best speaker, the best table topics, and the best evaluator. We have no losers, but we do look to honor those people that have been superb above and beyond what is expected. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, John. Now, as my job is this evening is, I just feel like I'm at school. I'm teaching my class. I'm going to be evaluating. Thank you, John. I'm going to be evaluating the meeting as a whole. So I won't be evaluating the speakers, but just evaluating, if we started on time, what happened, things that went well, things that could be improved. and just evaluating things as a whole, and I will give you that report at the end of the meeting. But at this time, I will go ahead and turn control of the meeting to our wonderful Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Alex DAHLSTROM.
Thank you, guys. Feels different walking up here versus just going like this on the screen for sure. So now we have the prepared speeches. We have two wonderful speech enthusiasts here today, or speakers. And it's been a long Monday already. So we have JAMILE Tate's breakthrough or icebreaker speech titled "My Big Family." JAMILE, take it away.
Well, hello, everybody. I'll be doing my speech about my big family. And so tonight I will be talking about big families and how it has shaped my life. And I will talk about three different families. I'll talk about my big family, and then I'll talk about a family that I admire, and I'll talk about a family that I gain inspiration from. Looking at families through these different lenses, it has helped me to appreciate my beginnings, and I also learned the importance of children. So the first family I'm gonna talk about is my big family. So it was my parents had 8 children, so I decided to wear this t-shirt that pictures my big family and my parents in the middle, and this is when my parents celebrated their 50th anniversary. And so growing up in a big family, chores wasn't an option. It was part of our daily routine. So in the mornings before school, we would be outside hanging up clothes on the line that my mom had washed previously. And I remember between the ages of 4 and 5, I would be standing up in a chair washing dishes. So chores in my house, it had no age limit. So no matter what age you was, everybody did something. And so I remember when I got older, I told my mom, I was like, I'm not washing dishes anymore. And she was like, her response was, well, I guess you're not eating anymore. So I realized then that hunger pains is a real thing. So needless to say, that didn't last long. I learned quickly, okay, I said that. Growing up in a big family, it was challenging for me. So it was challenging because I looked at it so negatively. And so it left like a bad taste in my mouth. So I didn't want kids. So when I got married, we talked about it, and I was like, we're not having kids, but my husband was persistent. So we did end up having 3 children, but you said what? Yeah. So I believe growing up in church and learning my role and just meeting some really good people, that really helped, change my mindset about that. And I really learned to enjoy motherhood. So the first family I'm gonna talk about is a family that I'm great. The second family I'm talking about is a family I'm thankful for, that I admire. I have a guy at work. He has a big family. He has 11 living children. Then he has 5 children that's in heaven. And so, like when they come up to the job, they just conduct themselves well when they come up there, and then and just the love and the respect that they have for each other when, just the greetings. It's just, I just really admire that. And so one year, one of the kids graduated because the mom homeschooled. And so we were invited out. So they was just so excited. They had about welcome us to their home, and they just had such great hospitality. And that's one thing, hospitality is not one of my strengths. So when I see it, and I just like, I'd be like, wow, it was just so cool just watching that. And another thing that I admire about them is the family is just so industrial. They sew, they make a lot of their food from scratch. They process their own meat. They have live chickens out there. And so one of the oldest daughters, a snake was getting the eggs. So she caught the snake, got the egg out. And I was like, and the dad sent me a picture. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I'm scared of snakes, but that was just so cool. And they just so, it's just like all of that I just admire about them. I just think they're just a very cool family. They're well-rounded and they enjoy the simple things in life. And so that's what I admire about them. And my last family is my boss's son wife. She, I went to stay with her, I guess like a week, because she was going through a challenging time. And so I got to spend some time with her, just talking to her. And one thing and they have 6 children. And one thing that really caught my attention about them is like, they were very intentional about teaching their children their faith. So like during the bedtime routine, they had this little book of, for children about catechism where it just taught the kids their faith. So they was intentional. So that really caught my eye because they were so intentional about that. And she's 30 years old. I mean, she wants more kids. She wants to adopt. I mean, she just really loves being a mother. So that just really inspired me. She's courageous and I just thought that their family was just special. And the scripture that was brought to my attention was Genesis 1:28. They really believed in being fruitful and multiplying. And so in closing, it takes courage to have a big family and reproduce godly seed. I believe it is worth all the work that goes into raising children and having children. And the only way we can leave a godly legacy is all of us doing our part. And so in Psalms 127, verses 3-5, it talks about leaving a heritage from the Lord. And we're God's hands and feet on the earth. So if it's going to happen, he's going to use us. So if we teach our children and it hopes our children to do the same, then so I feel like if we just relax, just enjoy being Christians, and then I think it'll be more exciting and more people want to know about our Savior. So thank y'all. And
That was great, wasn't it? Lee, could I get 1 minute on the clock so everyone can write down their little pieces of feedback for Madam JAMILE? While y'all are doing that, since I don't have time to write down, JAMILE, I'll just give you a few of my thoughts. I just want to say, wow, like, I'm trying to think, the first time that y'all came here was what, like 3 or 4 months ago? And my goodness, like you were up here and you were so comfortable. I remember the first time you came up here for table topics and you were shaking like a leaf and you said maybe 3 words. Seems like that was like 5 years ago because you were up here, you commanded presence, you seemed happy about what you were speaking, you seemed comfortable and relaxed. And it was just really fun to hear that speech. So wonderful job, great icebreaker, awesome job, very inspiring. So then now as y'all finish writing up those comments, I would like to introduce our second speaker of the day, Mr. BEREKET TOLCHA, with his speech, which is titled Not So Easy, which I'm curious to hear why it isn't so easy. So without further ado, come on up here.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Not so easy. In my last speech, I talked about starting or developing a website for my church, right? And I thought it was easy because we already have the platform. The only thing we are going to do is customize it a little bit to make it fit for a church, and then develop some content, usually video content. We have everything in written. We just have to make it video or edit it. That's what I thought. But the challenge is organizing people, building a team, and following up with a team is very challenging. I never had that experience. I worked with technical team, and I have been lead for at least for the past 2 years. But my leadership experience is only with a technical team. So every day or every week, there will be a team meeting. I'm a technical lead or a technical advisor for the team. So if everyone is around and if everyone has done what is expected from them, my task will be to listen to what they have done and make sure we are complying with our first design or our first architecture. But this time, I am the project manager, which means I have to follow up the team's availability and what they have done. At least I have to follow up. And that's not an easy thing to do. In my office, in my other involvements, there is a project manager that will worry about that. Is the technical team available? The development team available? The quality assurance team available? If anyone is missing, then the project manager will worry about that. But this time, it was my job. And it wasn't easy. The first thing is, I have to convince the people. They know what we are trying to do, and they know the goal, and they are happy with it, but they have their own ideas. Some of them, they want to, I don't know, insert their ideas, and they are insistent on that. So sometimes we have to accept some of their comments, even if it's not the best option. We just have to include it because we want them to be involved. And sometimes it's just destructive. So we just have to make a call. That is one challenge. So once they are convinced and we have decided how to do it, because we know what to do and we know our resource. So once we agreed how to do that, then the next challenge is to execute the plan. Or we have a plan, we know our resource, and we know our time and budget. Executing the plan was another challenge. Why is it a challenge? Because they are all grown-ups and they are not employees. They are not, they don't answer to anybody. So they have to be involved and they have to be excited about it. Or else you have to send a text every now and then. We have a meeting tomorrow. Have you done this? Have you done that? We are expecting that, or somebody is waiting for you. It wasn't an easy task. Hopefully, I will learn from it and I will be a better project manager. Actually, that's what my future career plan is as well. And this is like an eye-opener for me. But let's go back to our project. We have completed the customization of our website. We have our domain name, how it will be accessed, right? www.aotc.org. They insisted that it should not be a .com. It's not a commercial website. I didn't know that, but I learned The other thing is preparing a video content is so challenging because I can't do that. I have to rely on my team. And thank God, that's one of the project objectives, I think, for this project, for this speech. Because working with others and depending on others, because in customizing the websites, buying a domain name, I just have to get their consent and I can do it myself. It's a technical thing to do. But preparing a video requires other people's involvement. But finally, after a challenging struggle, after a challenging time, we have the videos ready. And fingers crossed, we are planning to release the website next week. Hopefully I'll share it with you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, hey, no, that was great, BEREKET. Mr. Timer, could we have 1 minute on the clock so everyone can get their feedback to Mr. BEREKET TOLCHA here? So as we write those notes out, I just want to point out that basically what you were talking about, BEREKET, is literally the embodiment of slowing down to speed up. What you talked about in terms of coordinating all those folks on your team to figure out where they are at and making sure that they know their responsibilities and getting everything where it needs to go. That's exactly what we need to do each day to slow down in order to speed up. Because if we don't have good communication across folks, it's all gonna, be slowed down by speed bumps from stuff not getting done. So I guess as y'all wrap up writing those notes, I'll ask Lee for a timer's report on the two speakers.
Mr. Toastmaster, I have deemed that JAMILE spoke for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. BEREKET spoke for 6 minutes and 30 seconds, both of them qualifying. So you may vote for whichever you think did the best speech, considering how long they've been in Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster.
Right now is my favorite part of the whole meeting, which is we need to vote first on best speaker. Just if you would, if you're in the chat, send those votes to Bernie Holiday. If you're here, just write them in person and yeah, hand them where they need to go. So now is my favorite part of the meeting, which is table topics, which today we have the legendary John Abercrombie, who is leading us for this. So without further ado, John.
No.
Oh, it's Andre. Well, Andre's legendary too. So Andre, you go ahead. I don't know why I thought it was John. Andre, take it away.
Fellow Toastmasters, I will be your table topic person today. And my first question is, with all that's going on in the world, what do you think God is saying to us, Mr. Barney? Holiday, right? Yeah. All right.
So the question was, with everything that's going on in this world today, what do you think that means God is trying to tell us?
What do you think God is saying to us?
I think that question could use refinement, sir. Number one, because I'm not an overly religious person. So trying to ask me what God is trying to say to me is probably trying to say, "Hey, you!" But We need to ask each other a good question, and that better question is not what God is trying to tell us. What is God trying to tell you? Each of us as individuals are going to take a different message from everything that's happening. Each of us as individuals have different perceptions on the world. That's something I talk about constantly because it's something I believe in wholeheartedly. And to me, what has been spoken to me out of all of this, seeing everyone be last year, the rush on the Capitol, all the horrible, horrible things that have been going on, what they're about is disconnection. They're about, you don't believe the same as I do, so you can't be part of my group. But you know what? We're all Americans in this room. And even more than that, we're all human. So the way we start to heal all these divisions between all of us isn't through disconnection, but through connection and inclusion. And if we can do that, if we can learn that skill, then that's going to take us a long way to where we need to be. Mr. Toastmaster.
Great job, Mr. Barney. I think you may didn't come about the question the way I would have answered, but I believe it is a answer that I believe the Lord would agree with, because the Bible talks about unity, and that's pretty much what you're saying. The Bible says in John 17 that the world shall know that we are his disciples by our love for one another, our unity. And that's what the world needs. It needs more unity. So great job. Like I said, you didn't come about the way I thought, but it works. It works. It works. All right. My next table topic question is for Mr. John. If you were the president, what do you think would be our greatest need for our nation?
The only John that's here is Abercrombie.
Yeah, Mr. John Abercrombie. Did you hear the question?
Yes,
Did you hear the question? Do you need me to?
yes, I
repeat it?
did.
All right, thank you, sir.
I think if I were the president, I would refer back to some recent statements that I've heard from Keith Plessy as he talked to Phoebe Ferguson. Now, those names may be somewhat familiar because they are the Plessy v. Ferguson, which was a court case in New Orleans that talked about the Plessy being in the white car and being arrested. Recently, last week, John Bell Edwards signed a posthumous pardon, pardoning Plessy. Now, Plessy and Ferguson have met, and Ferguson was apologizing for her role. And Plessy said, neither one of us was alive when that incident occurred. What we can do now is work together. And they've started a foundation, Plessy and Ferguson, and that foundation is working to let people know about civil rights, working forward. If I were the president, I think that's what I would tell people. We were not there, but what we can do is work to prevent that happening. I think it is on the same theme that Bernie talked about, of unity. And we will never get unity if we are spending all of our time placing blame. Let's move forward. Mr. Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Mr. John. So your answer to being the president, and you feel one of the greatest needs of our nation again is unity. That's pretty much what you were saying. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Thank you, sir. All right, my next question is hold on, I think I'm gonna skip this question. I forget my first one. Oh, Mr. Bereket. And you did a great job on your speech, sir. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, really enjoyed it. What if you, okay, yeah. If I don't know if you have, but if you haven't, what would be your New Year's resolution? If you have made one, or if you haven't, that's my question to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My New Year's resolution for this year is work hard and be a better person than I was last year. But most of all, find a college for my wife. Thank you.
Oh, so now, I believe I would get the timer report.
Mr. Tabletop Master, speakers were to speak 1 to 2 minutes with a 30-second grace period on either side. Barney spoke 2 minutes and 16 seconds, qualifying. John Abercrombie spoke 1 minute and 43 seconds, qualifying. And BEREKET spoke 25 seconds, not qualifying. Please cast your ballot for best table topics.
And now I would turn it back over to our general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Andre. We will now have the evaluation portion of the meeting, and I do not have an updated agenda, so I do not know if Lee, if you could inform me. I have Bernie, Randy, and yourself, so I'm not sure which.
Bernie is the first evaluator, Randy is the second evaluator.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear who was first.
Bernie.
Okay, Bernie. Okay, so our first evaluator this evening is Mr. Bernie Holiday. So again, Bernie, I will turn it over to you, and if you could please give us your evaluation report.
Thank you, Cheryl. Of course, I had to take a slight moment to push buttons before I walk up here. I do love pushing buttons though. And man, JAMILE with her icebreaker tonight. Let's give JAMILE another round of applause. But there's one thing that all of us know in this room and in our virtual room is that doing this for the first time ain't easy. One of the things Lee likes to say, and I've often copied the way he says that, is we don't calm the butterflies down. We don't get rid of the butterflies. We just teach them to march in order.
That's good.
And you today have started that process. I asked you when you first came in here and you were obviously nervous. Tell you the truth, all of us are nervous. I might be practiced as a Toastmaster now. People think that I do pretty well. I try to stay humble on that regard, except on nights but both me and my dad speak and I beat him.
But not last week.
But not last week. If it happened every time, it wouldn't be a challenge, sir. We are still nervous. So I want to thank you for overcoming your nerves in stepping up here and delivering a speech. And that speech was done very well. It was written very well. You started out the speech by telling us exactly what you were going to tell us. And that goes along with an old piece of speech advice. And that is to go up there, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. And you did that. You had excellent vocal variety throughout. It was natural. You didn't let yourself get locked into some kind of acting performance mode. You stayed in that natural mode, which made you come across as authentic. And that's something that a lot of speakers have difficulty with. You gave us an anecdote about farm life. I know about farm life. Not much, but I do know a little bit about farm life. My grandparents had a farm that I would spend some summers over there having, watching goats terrorize horses, pretty much. But what you did do, and here is where I want to give you a challenge for the future for your development as a speaker. You brought your notes up. I have notes in front of me too, but you know what? I'm not letting my notes control me. I'm moving around. I know they're there, but I don't necessarily need them. When you are locked into your notes, you are locked behind this lectern. You are not giving us any hand motions at all. The only tool you have at your disposal to keep us engaged is your eye contact, which is most of the time being down here, and your vocal variety, which you did an excellent job with. So I want to challenge you, make fewer notes and fewer notes and fewer notes until you can come up here and have no notes at all. And I think you'll find that is a lot easier than the fear tells you it's going to be. Thank you, JAMILE. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Great. Thank you so very much, Bernie. You did a great job evaluating JAMILE's first speech, which was very enjoyable. Our second evaluator this evening will be Mr. Randy Riddle. So again, if Randy, we can't see you, but if you could please give us your evaluation. Oh, there's Randy. Why do I see your name? That's odd. Okay, good. You're there in person. Great. Okay, go ahead. I will turn control of the meeting over to you, Randy. Thank you.
BEREKET, I was here, I believe I evaluated your first speech for this project, and in both of them, they were amazing, but we're not about the last one. I've already evaluated this one. We're on this one, and it was amazing. I can see you took a lot of the feedback that I've heard, both given to other people as well as that was given to you, and you improved on it. You asked me to look specifically for crutch words. And I don't know if the grammarian, he probably could have caught more than I caught. I only heard you use one myself. That was one that I heard placed in your speech. And I feel like one of the big reasons for that is I noticed you using pauses, your volume, as well as the speed of your speech in order to help you organize your thoughts and keep them in a way that you can chronologically tell us both the plan, how you executed the plan, aspects of your team, and then the results of it, all one after the other in a steady pace. There was never a moment where I felt that your pauses interrupted the speech. In fact, some of the pauses I felt you used, whether it was intentional or not, to draw in the audience because they're expecting the next part. What is he going to talk about now? Which aspect is he going to delve into? Because I noticed that with the time that you had, you went deep into detail in how to do everything, all the way down to the domain ending with .com or .org and the purpose behind it. Not everyone can do that and still keep up with the time that they have for their speech. And I noticed that you did that really well. I have two things that I could barely come up with to challenge you with. And that was, I noticed whenever you weren't making your gestures, they were at a neutral position. I have a habit of that. I was told hanging arms down to the side. And then whenever you use it, you can make your gesture more explosive, reaching out farther or faster, which brings the audience in because now their eyes are catching it and they need to know where it's going. Also, you used eye contact very well, scanning the room to both gauge the audience awareness and the needs of the audience, as well as bringing them in with the eye contact. The only challenge I have for you there is maybe focusing in on a specific person for a few seconds at a time, so that way they can get more enveloped in the speech. But overall, I would like to recap with, it was an amazing speech and you use all of the feedback that people give you to improve constantly. And I can hear the clarity and the impact of the feedback that you get. Awesome speech. Ms.
Thank you so very much, Randy. We appreciate your evaluation. At this point in the meeting, if we could please have the grammarian's report from Mr. John Frey, I would be in euphoria if you gave us the grammarian's report. Take it away, John.
Yeah, I was hoping thank you. I was hoping some more people would try to slide some in there. Probably wasn't the best. Now that I think about it and how to use it in a sentence, I probably would have picked something else that would be more likely, but only had two on the night. Mr. Abercrombie there at the beginning, and then CHERYL there at the very end. I had 3 or 4 likes throughout the for crutch words throughout. Not a whole lot of those. Just to piggyback off what Randy said, BEREKET only had him down for just 1. So that was, I mean, it was a great job there. And there were some ums throughout, but less than 10. So I think overall it was pretty well. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to you, CHERYL. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, John. And I like that word, euphoria. I think that we could definitely use it. It's not a too awkward of a word. It's a word that we could be using in our everyday vocabulary. So great word. The next report, if I could please get a timer's report for the evaluators.
Madam General Evaluator, it gives me great euphoria to announce the timing report for the evaluators. I found that the evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes to give their evaluations, with a 30-second grace period on either side of that. Bernie gave his evaluation in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, technically disqualifying himself. Randy did absolutely perfect at 3 minutes and 17 seconds with 13 seconds to spare in that grace period. You may vote for whomever you wish as best evaluator. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Lee, Mr. Timer. Great job keeping track of our time. At this time, I'd like to have everyone vote for the best evaluator. So if you are virtual, please send your vote to John Abercrombie. And if you're in person, please write out your best evaluator and send that to Lee. And if we could have a minute on the clock, I guess, or no, I don't think we really need a minute, but if everyone could just please do that.
Go ahead.
Okay, that's what I was. Again, this was a great meeting. And I know there were a lot of changes at the last minute. I'm sure we're all aware that, you know, we're in the text chat. So we know that some people dropped out. So to begin with, again, thank you, BEREKET, our Sergeant at Arms. He always gets the meeting started on time. I greatly appreciate that. And Lee, as we all know, Lee picks up the ball for us and keeps us rolling. So again, I don't know when he found out, but our president, LaShane, was not there tonight, so he picked up that role and just filled in and just did that with ease. He did that at the beginning of the meeting. And then he also picked up the ball and was the timer. And he did that for someone that was not able to attend the meeting. So again, thank you, Lee, for always volunteering and keeping the ball rolling and the meeting a success. And I just want to point out to Bernie and say a shout out and thank you to Bernie. I love what you've done. Again, virtually, if you guys look at the screen or when you were standing up and you could see the little monitor there in front of you, Bernie would put the little banner at the bottom, like he has now. He has my name. I'm actually a DL3, but I just can't figure how to do it in the computer, but I'm going to get there. But you see that the little banner at the bottom. So we really appreciate that, Bernie. Thank you for doing that. And then let me go back to Alex, our Toastmaster of the day. Alex, you did a great job. What a great theme. Slow down in order to speed up. That's, it seems like it's the beginning of the year and everyone's saying like, make our resolutions and go, 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 lose weight, join the gym, do this, do that. But you put a different spin on it. And you did it by telling us the story of the marathon. And we know that you hurt your foot by dropping the file cabinet on it. So remember that story. So you gave us a story, a visual image of why it's important to slow down in order to move forward this year. I also like Alex. Alex is always dressed up. I think that's because you're wearing the clothing from your job. But Alex, you present yourself so professionally, and I were there in person. You addressed everyone appropriately, and you just did a great job as Toastmaster of the day. Table topics, Andre, great job. You had some great questions, very interesting questions. Again, you're a natural speaker. You're very well spoken. You're confident. You have great eye contact. There were just a couple things, again, being a speech teacher, I'll pick up on some of these weird quirks. Is I noticed that your hands were in your pockets a couple of times as you were speaking. Your hands went into you. I think you have a vest on, and they went into your pockets. So that I just noticed that might be something you would want to work on. The other area for improvement, Andre, is with table topics. Again, you did a great job with the questions, but the order that table topics is supposed to work is that you ask the question first, right? And then you call on the speaker so that you're totally catching them. Again, we're not doing it to make you feel uncomfortable, but the goal is totally impromptu. So if you say, my next question is for John Abercrombie, if you were president, what would you do? That actually just gives him time to think. So how it should be would be, you say, my next question is, if you were the president of the United States, how would, what would be your first goal? Or what would you like for our country to be doing right now? The question goes to Mr. John Abercrombie, and then you stop, and then the person is to answer it. But other than that, you did a great job. I love table topics tonight. The evaluators, Bernie, great job evaluating JAMILE. And as Bernie said, you just did a wonderful job your first time. Loved the story about the butterflies. I'm going to use that for my students. So I love that. And Bernie, you gave both positive feedback and some areas for her to grow as a new Toastmaster. So excellent job. Randy, when you evaluated BEREKET, again, Randy, you have great eye contact and you connect so well with your audience. I can just feel like you're talking to just me, even though you were talking to everyone. And again, I liked how you talked about the gestures. And I noticed that your gestures were equal with what you were saying. So you did a great job. And again, I think everyone, we've had a great meeting, and I will now turn it over to, I believe, I think
Alex.
Toastmaster or Alex. Yeah, Toastmaster. I will turn back over to Alex, Toastmaster of the day.
Cheryl, well, lovely evaluation of the meeting. So right now, I believe the meeting is coming to a close, and what a great meeting it has been. But before we all hit the road and see who's playing some football, which I'm going to be listening to on the radio, I believe we have some awards to hand out, which I know, John, you're the vote counter, so I'm assuming you're going to be announcing.
Actually, sorry.
Yes, I will.
I was helping.
Yeah, John Abercrombie.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
actually John Abercrombie and not. So John, go for it. I have the ribbons. Please come up once you're called. And
Okay,
I will.
again, as we speak, there are no losers. We have some people that really excelled. In terms of our evaluator, tonight we have Randy Riddle. Randy, best evaluator. Table topics.
Here for the picture.
Table topics. Bernie Holiday. Bernie Holiday, best table topics. And for best speaker tonight is BEREKET TOLCHA. BEREKET TOLCHA, best speaker. And again, we have no losers, we have winners.
I have one more ribbon I'd like to hand out for Miss JAMILE TATE. Wow. And some icebreakers too.
Get up here.
Come stand up here a second.
Here, I'll get out y'all's
I
way.
hate taking.
Get them all in turn.
Okay, very good. Come next to me.
Y'all turn. So, yeah,
Get your good side.
turn a little bit this
All
way.
right, you see the, I'm recording that right there, it's right there. So look here, and when you go.
Face Trey a
this
little
way.
way. Turn toward Trey, turn the other way, toward where it's burning. And then BEREKET can step in further. A little further, a little further. There we go.
Already strike a pose.
That's awesome.
Can you catch it from that?
Yeah, I can.
All right, so now that the awards have been handed out, I'd like to call for any announcements that we have, any club business, Lee?
Barney, can you put up the agenda for the next couple of meetings? It's on a sheet. So for our next meeting, reminder, what are we going to be doing? All virtual meeting, all virtual. There will be no in-person attendees. So our, whoops. There. So our Toastmaster today is going to be Andre. Yes, we'll prepare Andre. We'll be working together on that for this week. You'll do perfectly, I know. Our speakers are Randy, BEREKET again,
Oh, man.
and Alex. Are you ready to do another speech or do we need to get somebody else? You ready? Okay. So Randy, BEREKET, and Alex.
Yep.
We need, and
It's
so
gonna be a tough lineup.
table topics will be LaShane, JAMILE, and CHERYL, and thank you. And Greg will be evaluators. That's perfect. Very good. So we need somebody to be our vote counter. Is Lee Holiday on there anywhere? I guess Lee Holiday will be our vote counter. Okay. we'll make that happen. So for the 17th, the meeting we do online, that's the way it'll be. And then I can't be speaker, and the following week after that, we'll figure that out in the meantime. Does anyone else have anything else we need to discuss? 2 items. For those of us who are club officers, we have a club officer meeting Thursday evening at what time? 8 o'clock, I think, right? I believe it is, 8 p.m. And then this Saturday, this coming Saturday, we have Toastmasters Leadership Institute. We really need all the club officers to be at that. If you want to attend, you can do so as well. There is a link on the front page, homepage of the club website where you can go register to attend it. There'll be a lot of good information being shared. Part of that's club officer training, but part of it is just good, great information. We'll have a keynote speaker you'll find very interesting. So it's the first half of the day on Saturday. You'll have the rest of the day to do everything you like to do on Saturdays. So I urge you to consider signing up for registering to attend the Toastmasters Leadership Institute and join the rest of us who will be there online. It's a Zoom meeting. So we'll see you there. So our club officers meeting will be on Zoom Thursday night. Our TLI will be on Zoom Saturday. Our next club meeting will be on Zoom next Monday. With all of that, it's time for National Championship football game. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone. Have a blessed week.
You too. You too. I'll go straight home.